A key goal for the Auburn Tigers this Saturday, it's Walker White.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. Is a happy hour edition of the show. Earlier this week, I hopped on with our good buddy Ben Taylor on his show, Auburn Opelika This Morning on News Talk WANI. We jumped into, will we see Walker White play on Saturday and how that should be the goal?
Everybody keeps asking me, Zach, what do you want to see Saturday? What do you want to see against Alabama A&M? What do you want to see out of Auburn? And I'm like, I want to see Walker White play, and I want to see him play the entire fourth quarter.
I mean, that would be incredible because it means a lot of things. It means Auburn took care of business. It also means that, we assume he's fourth in the quarterback pecking order. And so if that's the case, you feel good about the amount of time that Hank played as well as Holden. And so if that's the case, Payton may have just played a quarter if that's the case. So we'll see. I think that's a bold prediction or a bold thing to hope for a full quarter from your fourth string quarterback, but it's not a normal situation, right? Like you want to see if Walker White can be the future of your offense. That was kind of what he was recruited to do, and that's kind of what the fan base sees in Walker White. So it'd be great for Walker, it'd be great for the fan base, and it'd be great for the rest of the team because it means they performed well the first three quarters.
Well, and he's come into this. He's been a guy that has been on my. I've told you I don't follow recruits, but he's been a guy that's been on my radar, and the reason being is because of his recruiting and the sharing of social media posts and being on Twitter and recruiting guys and outwardly talking to these guys online and sharing that information with all of us fans that may be watching. So I'm pulling for the guy. And at the fourth slot, and he comes in, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, is he going to play as a true freshman? No, because he's got Payton Thorne in front of him. And, of course, we talked about Hank Brown being kind of the gunslinger that he is. However, he is a guy that I want to see because he's only got his 4 games. That's it, his 4 games, because I do expect them to probably redshirt him. I don't know. In the day of NIL, I don't know how much of a big deal a redshirt is anymore. I mean, because if they're that good, they're probably not going to play 4 years anyway. But it will be interesting to see if he gets a lot of time on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, my gut is that he plays very little. But a full quarter would be incredible. I just think the big variable in this is how much time do they want to give to Holden Garner? Hank Brown won the second quarterback job, and so obviously you got to think he'll play the second most of the quarterbacks on Saturday. I don't think that's crazy. But what's the split between 3 and 4 if they even do go 4 deep? I mean, I think there's a chance that if Auburn just absolutely boat races A&M like we all think that they're going to, there's a chance that Walker doesn't play at all. So, I mean, how many times do you see 4 quarterbacks playing a game? I don't care what the score is. You just don't see that a whole lot. But if you do, it'd be exciting for reasons we already discussed, and I can't stress enough, this is a different situation because Auburn is kind of expecting Walker to be the future, and you want to get him reps. So to me, it would make more sense to play him than Holden, just because like the future of the program, I think, is more important here.
Well, does that happen? Because I mean, Geriner's kind of sealed his fate. I mean, he's done in December. He's going to graduate. So he's probably not staying around Auburn for next year. So it makes you kind of wonder if – I know right now we all assume, as you just said, Walker White's in that 4th spot. However, maybe he's not. Maybe he is on the depth chart, and in writing he is. But maybe when it comes time to – if just something happened between Payton and Hank Brown getting injured in the first 3 to 4 games – would Walker White move ahead of Geriner since Geriner is going to be headed out in December?
Wow. My gut says no, but it certainly could happen. It certainly could happen. That's not what this would be, right, on Saturday. It's not, okay, if these guys weren't here, I'm going to put you in. It's we've kind of awarded ourselves because of our performance earlier in the game, the opportunity to give reps to younger guys. And typically reps to younger guys is signaling the future. So if he does play more than Holden, I don't think it means he's starting on the depth chart, but it would be awesome. It would be awesome to see Walker play a ton on Saturday. I think everybody agrees with that.
If we do see him play, would it be more of an RPO/run type situation that we would see him in and involved in?
You got to think they'd be comfortable running him with the public, semi-public scrimmage where they let a lot of the media watch. There was a live period, and he was the quarterback for the entirety of the live period. So they're comfortable with him getting hit because he's the fourth quarterback. So you got to think that they're not going to play him super conservatively from a health standpoint. I do think they would really slow down and simplify the offense for him because that has been kind of a thing that we've heard about him is like he's a freshman. He played private school ball last year. I mean, this is a big jump, a big adjustment for him. So we'll see what that transition would look like. So, but to me, I think it would be, I can't see him doing a whole lot of RPO stuff unless they just want to test him and kind of get stuff on tape so they can teach him, which would make sense.
Yep.
But if he does get in, I think it'd be very, very simple vanilla stuff.
I know that there's one thing I want to talk to you about here pretty soon. I want to talk to you about Malcolm Simmons, and the reason being is because he seems to be highly talked about as far as this offseason/fall camp is concerned. Even though he's not a starter, he's still one of the more popular players to look for.
Yeah. Malcolm Simmons chatter, that's coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Ben, we've all been tired. Heck, you do a morning show. You wake up at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
I'm tired right now.
And come early. Yeah, there you go. And come early afternoon, you need that little pick-me-up.
Yes.
5 Hour Energy is the great option there if you want to use it before you tackle a to-do list or before you work out. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has all sorts of flavors: watermelon, tropical burst, grape. Our guy Charlie 5 loves the grape flavor.
Does he?
Yeah, I'll send you a video of it later. On the site, you even have the option to build your 12-pack or 24-pack, and you can choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. So go to 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5, hourenergy.com, and get a 5 Hour Energy product today. Use our promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all one word, LOCKEDONCFB, to get 20% off your order. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Yeah, I mean, Ben, one of the winners of fall camp has to be Malcolm Simmons.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see how legitimate that claim is and the hype around Simmons is based off of what his role is for the first few games this year. I think we get a glimpse of that on Saturday.
Have you heard, I'm sure he's done it on various podcasts. He's probably done it on Locked On as well. Charlie 5's big thing is he said Malcolm Simmons is going to be the guy that has 2 touches in the second half and 120 yards total. Like, apparently he thinks he's going to just break 2 big runs or at least break out and it just absolutely scorch everybody down the field. I will say this, most times that during fall camp, the most popular person on the squad is the backup quarterback when it comes to being an Auburn fan. This year, the most popular non-starter on the roster has been Malcolm Simmons because of what he's shown. And they basically, it sounds like he could find his way into a starting nod maybe later, but he's electric.
Yeah. At Freeze's presser earlier this week, he mentioned Simmons with the rest of the slot guys. So there was kind of questions like where exactly is he going to be lined up? And so it sounds like he may be your 3rd or 4th slot guy, depending on, the personnel and the game plan and all that, which is interesting because it seems like he's ahead of Bryce Kane, who's another member of the Freeze 4, freshman wide receiver. Yeah. And Bryce was here in the spring. And so I think that's pretty telling of like, wow, Malcolm Simmons really did hit the ground running. From a rep standpoint, it's just he's behind some guys who've played a lot of college football. Robert Lewis, the veteran transfer from Georgia State, is going to be the guy who's going to get the most of that. Sam Jackson, the former Cal quarterback turned wide receiver. Like, is he going to be able to hop those guys?
Yeah.
I don't think so. But you can still have a situation where he gets 3 or 4 targets a game in that role, and you only need to pop on one of those for it to be, an iconic moment or his coming out play or whatever that might be. So, yeah, that could certainly happen on Saturday, and I do think it will certainly happen at one point this season.
All the rest of the stuff going on Saturday, I mean, we said what we want to see. We want to see Walker White. That's going to be, playing in the fourth quarter, if at all able to play. What do you not want to see? I tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see a struggle game going into the fourth between Auburn and Alabama A&M.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, outside of a loss, I mean, that's probably the worst case scenario. Is like you don't want to be competitive. You don't want to be competitive at all. I interviewed the Alabama A&M coach, Coach Maynor, late last week, and I'll put that show up on my feed at some point this week. But talked a lot about like, what are you expecting out of this game? And like he didn't seem too positive about their chances. Like the language he used wasn't, hey, this is our opening game and it's against an SEC opponent. We're excited to see, try to make a statement. It's been motivation. Like there's ways you can say this where it's like, It sounds like, oh, this is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That the route he went, and you guys will be able to hear it later in the week, but it's, we're going to try to be as competitive for as long as we can. And hopefully nobody gets hurt. Wow. So to me, like, if that's kind of the squad and the mentality that is going to be competitive at any point in the second half, like I do think that would be a little bit concerning for sure.
I have found it interesting through the years to see how coaches at smaller programs treat that sort of thing, because you get the ones like him that are saying, hey, we have a season to play. We don't need to lose a starting quarterback or starting running back to an SEC team on a game that you don't want to say it doesn't matter for them, because it does. It gives their team some confidence if they're able to actually compete against Auburn a little bit. And then you got those that come in and they're like, the other smaller schools, they're like, we're here to win. We're here to knock them off. It doesn't matter if we lose 6 players while we're doing it. We just need to be able to tell everybody we won in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Hello, New Mexico State.
Yeah, but it's not the same tier. Like New Mexico State was a decent team.
Were.
Like this isn't the same. This isn't the same thing, but yeah, for sure. I mean, smaller teams can beat larger teams, but it's normally like a New Mexico State. It's not an Alabama A&M. So we'll see what it looks like on Saturday. But if it is close at any point in the second half, like I do think that would be concerning for sure.
Injury wise, is Auburn nicked up at all? I mean, we see some guys probably being held out this game in order to save them for Cal, or is it going to be full bore? We'll see everybody that we expect to see.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the two that have been most publicly discussed are Austin Keys, the linebacker, and then Keontae Scott, the corner. I don't think you play either of them. If it was me, and obviously they're going to know way more about the situation than I do, but I don't see the upside of playing either of them. So we'll see. And if you do, like, you don't play them much. Like you need them against Cal. You don't need them against Alabama A&M. But if you want to get them a few reps of game speed just to see how it feels, 1 or 2 drives, like I guess that makes sense. But I just don't see the upside of the risk of it all. We've also heard, this hasn't been really asked to him at a press conference, but some of the defensive line has been a little banged up. So I am curious to see what the participation looks like on the defensive line. We've all talked so much about the depth in the rotation. Once again, not anything that they'll need to necessarily like win this game on Saturday, but I do want to see, like, does everybody play? Does an Isaiah Rakes and a Jason Jones and a Gage Keys and Terrell Carter, do all those guys play up front? Do they look fine? That to me, that's the position group from a participation point of view that I'm looking at the most. But the two names publicly that are being discussed are Austin Keys and Keontae Scott. Free said earlier this week that they both appear to be probable, but we'll see if they run out there on Saturday.
Any other games on your radar as far as this weekend? I know Oklahoma's going to be playing on Friday night. They're playing Temple, so it's not probably going to be much of a game. But still, it'll at least be a team that we'll be able to watch that we'll face in a couple of weeks or in a few weeks.
Yeah, A&M and Notre Dame. I think that's interesting. And then Penn State, West Virginia. Those are probably the two I'm paying most attention to.
I do want to see the Oklahoma, because as you and I have talked about, for some reason, I think Oklahoma's overrated, and Temple is one of those teams that the last few years have been able to at least hang tough with bigger programs when they play against them. If Oklahoma finds themselves in a dogfight come the fourth quarter, I think that ought to throw up some major red flags for Sooner fans. And it's on a Friday night. So while you're listening to Auburn High and Jacob Goins in your ear, you can have Oklahoma on your television And
Do you know Jacob Goins is the voice of Auburn High School? Do you know that?
Man. He did an excellent job this past Friday night. So
I love that. Yeah, Oklahoma's non-conference is interesting. Temple, Houston, and Tulane. Like, none of those teams are great, but like you do have to focus on all three of them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when you start talking about Tulane, that's where the Troy coach went. And the whole reason he went down there is he even said he saw the potential with the program. Some of the players went with him as well. He'll be going to try to make his mark beating in Oklahoma. And same thing with Houston. I mean, say what you want. They're players that got recruited by Oklahoma or, that ended up probably signing with Houston because maybe they were dropped off or maybe the recruitment stopped. So they'll have a little personal problem with Oklahoma whenever that game starts. So that's the one game I'm watching. The other one, you just mentioned it, it's going to be Texas A&M. I'm curious to see what they have. And the reason being is because they've still got 5 stars on the team from Jimbo years. And is Texas A&M able to put them in the right place, in the right position to be successful? And they could either look really good or really bad, depending on if there's been any unity and any gel that's taken place since the exit of Jimbo.
Yeah, and this is really their biggest game. Like their conference draw was pretty favorable. A&M's was. So we'll see how they play against Notre Dame. I mean, I think Texas A&M is going to be solid. I had in my final preseason predictions, I had them beating Auburn in Jordan-Hare. So we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, that's certainly a game to watch.
Zach, you and I have talked about it with. People forget when you come out as a 5-star at a high school and you go play for a program, there are pro teams that will take a shot on you later on down the line in the draft, even if you didn't see a whole lot of playing time, because they see the potential that's in there. And that's the thing. People forget what good recruiting classes
Ben, look
brought.
Look at DJ Uagalele, DJU. I mean, everywhere he's gone, it's like they seem to get worse. And then he goes to FSU, and people are excited again. And then they lose to Georgia Tech in week 0. So I mean, it happens. It happens even in the college level, this transfer portal world we live in. If you're a former 5-star, you're going to keep getting jobs no matter what.
Yeah. Yep. And so that's another reason I'm excited to watch a little bit of A&M this weekend to see if the new staff that's come in there has prepared those guys to get them to play like 5 stars. And if they do, the league better watch out, because we kept hearing it over and over with Jimbo. Hey, A&M's going to be good. They're going to be title contenders, and they never were.
Right. Yep.
I didn't find
Ben, how can people? Yeah, you can find me Locked On Auburn wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And Ben, where can folks check you out?
News Talk WANI weekday mornings between 6 and 9. You can stream that at aunetwork.com. Click on the WANI logo, or you can also go check out Braves Today, as they have got a big series that is going to take place this week with Minnesota and the Twins. Basically a mirror team record-wise. They're also playing for a wild card over the American League, so they need the wins just as bad as the Braves do. And you can check us out at bravestoday.com. Lots of articles go up there as well from the bevy of writers that are there.
Yeah, check it out. Absolutely. Hey, like the video, please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.